Men, what's something a girl has said that made you insecure? One time when I was about 17 to 18, my GF and I were hanging out with a small group of friends. The girls were staying a few feet away from the guys so they could get in some private girl talk. A couple minutes go by and I heard my GF very clearly say, "LDK, it's okay, I guess I was just expecting him to be bigger." All the girls laughed. I asked her what she meant, and in front of everyone she goes, "Well, you are black, so I was expecting something, well, bigger." I was extremely hurt and embarrassed. It wasn't that she was calling me small, it was that she made feel like my body was just disappointing. I felt like a total letdown. A few years go by. Andy accidentally linked my iCloud backup with my grandma's computer. It downloaded an entire album of nudes I had from me and my GF. My 80-year-old grandma was mortified, to say the least. She very angrily said, "I don't know why you're taking pictures of yourself, it's not very impressive." Those words hit me like a truck and brought me right back to what my GF said. Recently it's been on my mind a lot. I can't get over it. It's completely turned me off of sex. All I can think of is if I'm just going to be constantly disappointing women my whole life without even trying. I asked my friend to tell me something she thinks I'm good at, and she said, "You're older than me, so that's something." "You were a mistake." My mom yelling at me during an argument over something little. She hit the nuclear option. I could only pipe back, "Well, I'm your mistake. Figure it out," was enough to shut her up as I walked away. When an ex of mine freaked out because I lost stimulation during sex, began worrying about how she'd react if it ever happened again, started avoiding it with her. My mom's threatened to get rid of me several times growing up. That really hits the self-worth very hard. I'm a short guy at 165 centimeters. Other than not being able to reach the top shelf, it's never really bothered me. But I had a girl sorta break down when she finally rejected me after telling me I would be perfect. But what would my friends say if I date a short guy? That hurt bad. I've been rejected before for being short and it stings a bit, but it's nothing that bothers me long term. It's a fair reason. Emo. But being rejected because she was worried about how people would see her with a short guy has stuck with me years later. You won't leave me. From one black man to another, this is part of why I think the whole BBC stereotype is so harmful. My ex said to me in an argument, "At least my ex's dick worked the way it's supposed to." 7 years later and I still haven't asked a woman out, never mind date someone. Once brought up to a girl that I had a sister, and I shit you not, this girl said, "Is she cute or is she like you?" To this day I vow vengeance. Long explanation, but when I was with my first ex 3 years ago, I found out the same day I sent her some selfies of mine. She looked up "How do I tell my boyfriend he looks awful" on Google. One time in high school I was wearing a gray shirt and a girl commented on me sweating under my arms. She was insufferable and another classmate stuck up for me, but it kept me from wearing colors that would easily show sweat for a while. Girlfriend and I went ring looking. 6 years into dating at the time, just to get an idea of styles she liked. Of course the one she picked was $8,000, and L worked retail. I found a smaller ring at the same jeweler that was similar style, with several custom tweaks, plus $, to give it the same color and design. Came out to $2,500. I worked my ass off and put it on layaway, paying $100 every 2 weeks. Took me a year. Finally proposed. She knew I would that day at the beach, so no shock there. But it was smaller than the ring she liked. She gasped, and the first thing she said was, "It's so small." Married anyways, but that was 3 years ago and I still remember that every time I see her. Still hurts. I was in my 20s, basically visiting bars with friends but having no game. Once we got to talking to a very attractive girl. At some point she said to me that I'm cute but also nerdy and girls basically won't be interested in me for several years because they like more exciting dudes when they're younger. After the glow from a hot girl paying attention to me wore off, I was like, wait a minute. I've ended up in a happy relationship, so it's all good though. You're ugly, annoying, and you're not funny. Girls aren't going to like you and I don't know why I dated you, or something to this effect. That was when I was about 20 or 21. I'm 33 now. You are black, therefore you're a sex object. Man, fuck that bitch for saying that shit. An offhand comment by one of the kinder girls in the friend group like, "He doesn't ever say sorry." At the time my personality was a coping mechanism for terrible levels of anxiety. I was shocked at the realization I had shown zero responsibility for mistakes which affected other people. Eventually I learned I may have been hiding every self-vulnerability in order to feel little better in public, including the possibility I could hurt someone else. I had a crush in school and a girl said she can do better than you. Years later when I was 23 a woman told me the years have not been kind to me and said look so old I should be dead. Another time I was in a bar and my friend picked up a girl. Her friend was standing next to me and without me even talking to her she goes I'm out of your league so forget about it. I had a period of depression. And my comfort was eating. One day a girl I know slapped my stomach and went you're too lazy to get rid of that. That one took me to a dark place. I had a GF who made me feel like shit for working a shoe store. I had a girlfriend back in college. The first time we were about to have sex she came off as disappointed. I asked her what was wrong. She said, I'm just used to 8 to 9 inches. I paused. Really don't think 6 inches is that bad. I felt so low. I made her come, but I don't know. It just never saw her the same. I became unattracted to her. Along with the fact that she was pushing Christianity on me. I broke it off with her and didn't look back, no matter how much she tried to work through it. Behold, the truth. No respectable person should ever care about your dick size. No decent person should ever be laughing at your dick size. No grandma should ever see your dick, much less comment about it. When I was 16, with a girl that I met online and went for the first time meeting, she said how dare you wear like that, meet with me and make me feel embarrassed next to my friend. I'm living alone since 14. Parents divorced and felt a bit extra when they got their new families, so I was working 2 different jobs 16 hours a day and I couldn't have time to look good after a night shift. LOL. I never felt that bad in my whole life but I had another shift after the date so I had to go there. LOL. My ex told me during our breakup don't become your father. She then gave me a kiss and left. We lived together. For context my father has always been a heavy drinker and an angry one at that. Also just kind of an asshole all around. I in a way despise how my father is. Anyways, I had been drinking, pretty heavy at this point, pretty much every day for about 3 months. Maybe it was longer. Drinking. The amount has made things pretty blurry during this time. Anyways we were having problems mostly because I couldn't stop drinking which changed my personality. Which in turn made her not like me as much. Which is fair. Considering I was also more concerned about the next drink as opposed to what was happening with her. I want to make this clear. She knew saying this to me would break me. Which it did. But it also caused me to stop drinking and for that I have personally thanked her. Do I wish I could go back in time and change things? Of course. Do I resent her for saying this to me? Fuck no. I needed to hear it. Sometimes the hardest thing to hear is the truth. Oh also before anyone asks. No I never hit her or any crazy shit like that. Did I overreact to some things? Of course. I was a drunk and a shitty one at that. I know this comment is mostly me tearing myself down and not what a lot of comments are going to look like in this thread. But this honestly is the most I had felt insecure by something a partner/girl has told me. Changed my life. For the better. She laughed while making out cause my dick was not rock hard on demand. Going on a date with a girl I hadn't seen since we were teenagers. You're smaller than I expected. The first girl I actually had sex with, my first attempt at losing my virginity with another girl was a fail because we got caught by her dad, told me my package was small and then told me how one of her sexual partners had a huge package that made her come instantly. Funny enough I made her come during anal. Fast forward a couple months later another girl is going down on me and told me my package was big and it was hard for her to keep her mouth open. To this day I am still confused whether or not I'm small. A girl in high school said I looked wolfy once and I'm still not sure if it was meant as a compliment. Like 7 years later. I think your penis is broken. Said to me by a friend of a friend during a drunken hookup when I was having trouble rising to the occasion. First of all man I hope you are not with that GF. Second of all sorry but LOL at grandma. Lastly, try see life from a comedian's perspective in turn for reading my ramblings. The most insecure I've felt from girls' words was that I was stupid. She may not have meant it, but when I was younger I felt insecure about being perceived as unintelligent. Don't waste time or thought on adjusting how you're perceived, just do your thing. The right people will come along eventually. Stupidly caught feelings for a FWB. Confessed my feelings and asked if she wanted to be more. She laughed in my face and said, oh honey, you're never gonna be more than a dick to ride on. That one stung pretty bad. That sucks brother. Dick size should honestly be treated like women's weight, respect it and don't fucking talk about it. It's a messed up double standard. A few years ago when I was still in college, there were a bunch of people partying in my fraternity house and eventually a bunch of people ended up drinking and hanging out in my room. As I'm walking around my own goddamn room mingling with folks and minding my own business, these two girls I had never met randomly tap me on the back of the shoulder and go, "Hey, are you Jewish?" "I'm not, soul." Reply, "No, but why would you ask me that?" And they say, "Because of your nose." Not only was that just a fucking weird anti-Semitic comment and completely unwarranted in general, but I've always been self-conscious about my nose. I always knew I hated it, but up until that point nobody had ever actually made fun of me or commented on it, so deep down I assured myself it wasn't that bad. And maybe other people didn't think it was big and it was just me. Welp, that day totally proved me otherwise and absolutely demolished any self-confidence I had left. I have had pretty bad anxiety my entire life, but I had noticed the past several years since college it had gotten quite severe. I spent a lot of time reading up on anxiety to try to learn more about my brain and came to the conclusion that anxiety disorders, especially ones that affect your self-esteem, are often caused by traumatic events whether you know it consciously or not. I finally realized it was probably those two stupid bitches that said that to me that really put me over the edge. It hasn't helped that since then I haven't really grown into my nose at all, and even my mom has made comments to me, wondering why I have such a strong nose compared to the rest of my family who has very soft noses. I find it hard to be myself out in public. I try to hide my face. I can't speak to anyone confidently. It sucks. I get by okay, but probably should see a therapist. I had a crush on this girl back in high school that loved playing mind games with me. She knew he was interested and was too dumb to figure out she was just being cruel for fun. One of her favorite games was to tell me I was her boyfriend and then gaslight me the next day saying that never happened. Her greatest gift was being able to tell exactly how to manipulate people, just really understood people's weaknesses and how to exploit them. She said many things that warped my view of women, but there was one that really got me. One time a group of us was walking down a hallway in school. Il was in the middle next to her. I said something about how he felt like I found my place, referring to being in a group of friends that I loved. She looked me in the eye and said, "You are not the main character." Fucking rocked me. I felt tiny and unimportant. That never really went away either. She apologized for her behavior years later, and I forgave her, but it doesn't change the damage she did to me. I still struggle with trusting women, and it's hard not to feel that the ones I don't know are looking for a chance to hurt me. She works as a licensed counselor now. Guess she never got tired of getting in people's brains. Hope she's using those superpowers of hers for good now. I just turned 40 and I have been wearing the same haircut for at least 20 years. I tried many times over the years to change up my hair and nothing really suited me. This year I finally found a style I like that I am comfortable with, makes me feel good, and my wife loves. I was at work a few weeks ago and I was only coming in to cover for someone last minute. I already had a haircut appointment late afternoon and I needed to leave an hour early. My boss was cool with it. When it was time for me to go, this female coworker asked why I was leaving and I said I have a haircut appointment. She obviously thought it was a good time to make a joke and said, "Are you getting a new midlife crisis haircut or sticking with the one you have?" It was not just her and I, it was a room full of people. Nobody likes this woman, so no one thought she was funny. I just shrugged it off and made some comment back to diffuse it and not show that it upset me. It really took me back, to be honest, and offended me, but whatever, cause I know look good and her frumpy ass will look horrible when she is 40. I do not need to impress her or anyone besides my wife and I, who both love my new look. I like more masculine men, not like you. It's been more than a year since someone told me this and it's still fucking me up. You look like your mom dresses you. It was because I wouldn't date her. Still, it stuck with me. Actually not a direct comment, but my buddy was hooking up with a girl from Jersey. She was a crazy bitch but really hot, and one time I walked with him on the way to class and he was meeting her at a dining hall. She had only caught a glimpse of me as we departed and he later told me that she had said, "It's weird that you hang out with Asian guys." That shit fucked me up a little. Luckily I have a loyal friend that told her to get fucked, but it still messes with you. Most Asians already struggle with their cultural identity in the US, but it's just not as commonly talked about. I can't even begin to imagine how that must feel, but that stereotype is honestly awful and terrible because it degrades a person to a mere organ. For whatever is worth, my man, you are far more than that. You are a human being whose worth cannot be measured in inches or meters, only in his achievements and his character. Have no doubt you will find someone who sees that in you and will be forever grateful for the day she found you. Chin up, my guy, ain't got nothing to be ashamed of. You're kinda cute, implying upon further inspection of my initial ugly impression that I'm not as ugly as she thought. Thanks. I faked every orgasm. Happened with my first girlfriend when I was 18. Then she proceeded to fuck all my friends one by one. I've never gotten over it and have a very hard time trusting women because of it. I went without seeing my mom for about 2 years after moving out on my own, and the first thing she said to me was, "Wow, you've put on a little weight, great. Thanks, Mom. Missed you too." College hookup told our mutual friends that I had the smallest penis she'd ever seen. It's certainly possible she was telling the truth, though it turns out I'm statistically average, or slightly above. Still insecure 30 years later. My wife of 25 years has told me many times that I'm borderline too big for her, and I've never once believed her. No, therapy has not helped.